Welcome to writingalong.com. Today's episode is all about how perfectionism is poison. It's not really just this super palpable detriment that you're going to be obsessed with, you're going to be able to point out all the time. It's more or less something running in the background. It's just kind of going through your veins, it's going through your body and it's causing all this harm. Same thing when you're writing abilities. It's just going to kind of seep through and it's just going to make you sick as a writer. I mean, it's not gonna kill you. That's the thing. It's curable. It's inherently something you can avoid too. Again, once you're aware of what perfectionism could look like, what perfectionism traps kind of try to get you involved in this process of thinking and these thoughts again and these poisonous thoughts. Really, what it is when you become obsessed with this idea of creating this epitome of self-expression. You want to have this uh, gigantic, massive certainty about what your writing is going to look like, how people are going to receive it, how they're going to react to it. And the fact is, you can never, ever even come close to having something like that. The idea is that people are inherently unpredictable. Your readers, you don't know what point in their life they're going to find your writing. You don't know what kind of day they've had. You don't know where their mind is in terms of just their life and everything. So your writing, as it's determined, as it's understood, as it's reacted to, is relative to your readers. So as a writer, what you want to do is just give the best of yourself that you can. If you're giving yourself authentically through your words and your writing, that's all you can do as a writer. You can't create these safeguards. You don't want to create these rails, these barriers that this will make sure that the reader doesn't fall off the bridge. The fact is, they have their own lives. Your book is a part of their life. It's not their life. It's not their life. And again, as a writer, just understand that and take that for what it is. Take it as, if anything, like a lot of these things, a lot of these 100 days of writing advice topics, they turn out to be opportunities for you as a writer, as in terms of your abilities and how comfortable you feel doing it. When you take off that responsibility of, I have to give the reader this amazing experience, like I have to make sure that they stay engaged the whole time. Have you realized a lot of the time the stuff that's out there, the stuff that you maybe even enjoy, right, is not always just mind-bendingly interesting. It's not, sometimes it's mind-bogglingly boring, and it's events occurring. It's a sequence of events being retold and recaptured. Not recaptured, just captured once, and then you're getting that. What would you rather watch? Is the way I'd put it. Do you want to see a recording of a high definition television screen, or do you want to see that high definition television screen? Think of that as your perceptions and your writing. You're not trying to filter and create another abstraction or layer on top of your writing. You just want to give them the best you can. You can't bring them there. You can't throw them into the book and say, hey, look, this is what I'm seeing in my mind. This is what you're going to see. But you can sit them down and you can get those words in front of them. And you don't want to create any extra steps, any extra layers. You don't want to pause it, like, hey, pay attention to that. Like, they'll notice what they notice. They might rewatch it. They might reread your books, what you're writing in general. You want to get that kind of attitude ingrained in you fast. Because if you're obsessed with this conception of perfectionism, and it really is, it's something you just kind of harbor within you, and you can give it life. You might be feeding it without realizing. You might be, if you want to use the perfection metaphor, analogy, whatever, you might be drinking more of it. You might even think it's good, that it's like it's medicine, it's helping you out. But really, again, it's just preventing you from writing. And the great thing about writing is, if it comes to you, more is going to come. Like, it's not going to end. Your writing will evolve and grow, and it'll look different throughout the years. But I mean, the idea of words coming to you and being able to like exist as this ability, as this like power to write and communicate. Hey, this is what happened, and here I'm putting it into a story. I'm putting it into my own writing. That's a constant in your life. If you develop it, if you feel it in you already, you don't got to worry about losing it. So if you obsess over these things, you never actually get to use it on other projects. You're just stuck on this one book. You're stuck on this one short story that you're editing into perfection hell. But all you're doing is just creating more distance, more layers. It's like, it's annoying for the reader. You're actually harming. You're creating a worse experience if perfectionism is your goal. That doesn't mean that you don't want to prioritize giving the reader a good experience, but you're going to do that by prioritizing yourself. Remember, you're the writer. You're the one who needs to be a little selfish here, because all these words, all these experiences are being filtered through your brain. So what you're thinking about, how you're thinking about it, is going to influence how it comes out. And by being selfish here, you're actually thinking of the reader. You really are. Because again, you will never be able to control the context of where they read your book. You can tell them, like, hey, read it in a quiet room at your house and no one else in the house, and you have 5 hours to yourself or 10 hours to yourself. They're going to read it on a crowded bus. They're going to read it at a wrestling match. They're going to read it. I'm being absurd here, but like, you don't know. You can't anticipate it. You can't influence it. You can't predict it. So you're just putting something out there, and it floats. It exists. You're distributing it. There's copies, and that's the inherently great part about writing. You can copy it, and if it's exact, right, you're multiplying your experience, that you're multiplying the story that you're telling, and you're just creating more opportunities for it to be absorbed, for it to be serve as a part of someone's life, as a source of entertainment, as a source of inspiration, a new way of looking at the world. You just want to have that ability in you as clearly as you can define how to do it. And again, you're going to do that by being authentic to yourself, to what's coming to you. And that requires a lot of self-focus. Like, what's going on in there? What are you thinking? Where is this perfectionism obsession coming from? Is it perfectionism is often really just procrastination. It doesn't take a psychoanalyst to really see that. What are you putting off? Why are you postponing your writing? You can move on to other projects, and on top of that, develop further as a writer down the line. You'll never develop if you're stuck on page 1. There's no such thing as a perfect page 1. I've never seen one. It doesn't exist, because a powerful story is connected. It's the whole of it. No one says, wow, that was a great story, and they're talking about the first like 30 seconds. No, it inherently, it encompasses all of it. So you got to get that all of it down. And if you want to do that efficiently, not just for the sake of efficiency, not like, oh, let's make some money, like that kind of connotation of efficient. More in the sense of, don't waste your time. Don't waste your reader's time. If you're not wasting your own time, your reader is going to feel that, and they're going to think, wow, this is great writing, because I can tell they're not wasting their own time. Therefore, they're not wasting mine. See that readers are reading for themselves. They want to get something out of the book. That could just be a little fleeting moment of their lives where they're like, wow, that was cool. I was pretty bored here. Like, I wanted something to pass the time, or I was looking for something to challenge my worldview and perspective on stuff. Very few people will directly say that, because not many people want to admit that they're seeing the world in a way that can be open to change, that could be open to development, because you have something that works for you. After all, it's brought you this far, which is why this isn't a discouragement either if you're thinking like this right now. No, this way that you're thinking, this perfectionism, has brought you to this point. But is it holding you to that point and holding you back from continuing onward? That's a decision you'll have to make for yourself. And I want you to relinquish this idea of perfectionism and just eradicate it from your mind. Just erase it. Don't bother with it. Don't continue drinking the poison, drinking the Kool-Aid, however you want to put it. It's not good for you. It's just really not. It's just like a sickness for your writing, and your readers will know it. They'll see it. And your reader's not looking for a perfect story. Who goes, I want a perfect book to read? The hell does that mean? I just want a good book to read. I want a good story. That's what your reader wants. Remember, don't just think about this vain pursuit of something to represent you. You as a writer you're the vehicle for these thoughts. You're the processing of it. You immersed yourself in it. You're not the machine, but you are kind of just the factory, the place where it all really happens, and then it gets put into the book. And you've got to kind of, I have an episode titled "Don't Be Humble" in a different context as far as your writing, because after all, you're the ones putting your own words in the book and saying, hey, it deserves to be in a book. That's a whole other topic. Look it up if you're curious. Don't be humble. It's an episode I have on this 100 Days of Writing Advice. But you do need to humble yourself in the sense that, hey, the power and the effectiveness of these words that I'm writing isn't really mine. Like I'm doing what I can. I'm doing my role. I'm doing my part. And it gives me what it gives me. It feels great to express myself that way in writing. But you got to understand the influence that it has, the impact that it has on people. You're not a part of that directly. You're not the one who's rallying people up, in there. right next to them, speaking into their ear, like, hey, get excited about this, care about that, don't care about this, focus on this. This is the best part of my book. This was the worst part, ignore that. No, they're deciding that for themselves. That's what makes a book so enjoyable. And like, as a writer, you've got to keep that in mind. Keep yourself in line, or your writing is going to suffer, and your reader's going to know. Everyone's going to know but you. And it doesn't feel difficult to get to that point. It's not like you're sacrificing some great thing. It's actually kind of great. It's a weight off your shoulders, and it just makes things a whole lot easier with writing. Writing is easy. Now, why didn't I make Writing is Easy the tagline? Why didn't I make the channel or the whole website called writingiseasy.com? It probably exists, and if it doesn't, go buy it. I'm sure it's like $12 or 12,000, depending if someone already has it. But the idea is, it's not just easy as in 1, 2, 3, because that in itself, numbers, the concept of getting what a number is in your head took some time to get there. Same thing with writing. It takes some time to get there, but once you know how to communicate with yourself, with what you want to portray, what you're seeing, and how you're bringing it to life in words, once you get that relationship and just understand it, I don't mean practice it for years. I just mean understand it. Writing does come easily. It's easy, but it's not simple. It's simple, but it's not easy. It's these seemingly contradictions, but what happens when you get two extreme things and you bring them together? They create this explosion, this spark, this fire. That's what writing is. You're creating that within your mind for yourself. This episode, this whole everything about writingalong.com isn't David has all the answers about writing. No, it's I want you to see it for yourself, because you can. I've seen others find it for themselves, and it's incredibly exciting to me for them, and I want to share that experience of writing with as many people as this reaches. Check out How to Write a Book in 30 Days at writingalong.com. Completely free guide. Just completely free. Let it sit in your inbox and get to writing. Write your book. It's not going to take you a lifetime. It can take you this year. It can take you this month. All right, I'll see you around. Thanks for checking in this episode.